Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for your continued support of a platform that is dedicated to you, industry professionals all around the world. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for how you impact the world and the just making people a success. We just thank you on this platform. You are listening to the #1 industrial-related podcast in the universe, right here, right now. We are broadcasting in Barcelona right here, and it is the IoT Solutions World Congress. It is a collection of problem solvers, as you can imagine, and if you don't have this on your calendar for next year, you're missing out. You get great opportunities to talk to Darin and Tom. They're the ones in the hot seat. Who are you guys with?
We're with Imply.
Imply, that's right. Let's get cracking. Yeah. End-to-end analytics for IoT.
That's
data
it.
Analytics. I missed data in there.
You
But
know,
I got it.
data's what you get, right?
Yeah, data is what you get.
IoT is all about using bits to manage the atoms.
Yeah.
You got stuff, you got buildings, you got connected vehicles, you got oil and gas wellheads, you got electric vehicle chargers, you got
It's data.
connected cars,
It's
you
a
got all
tsunami.
kinds of stuff.
It's a tsunami
It
of
is a
data.
tsunami. And you got all these great IoT devices collecting the data, and there's essentially two problems. How do you get the data? And then what do you do with it once you got it?
Yeah.
So a lot of great companies here at this show about how you get the data, like our great partners AWS with their IoT Core.
Right across the street
products.
from me. Right
Absolutely. But then there's the issue, what do you do with that data once you got it?
Yeah.
And that's where we come in. So Imply is a company focused on real-time analytics. We make a database. And it's a database that people use with IoT so that you get that end-to-end solution. So
you're just... I'm sorry. Darin, just FYI, I'm sorry. We've got to know who your partner is here. We know you. He's sitting over there. Tom,
Yeah,
give us a little background
sure.
on who you are.
Tom Mack. I'm the VP of EMEA for Imply. So we're responsible for all the sales and implementations of our offering.
Mia?
Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Got it. I'm
Yeah.
going, is that another company? What is that?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, you guys got a lot of street cred. Okay, now back. So you're now I'm a company, and I always bring it to sort of that use case that I'm a manufacturer. And that manufacturer, I want to collect data off of assets because I want to be able to make better decisions. Because somebody said on the internet that I have to collect data, and I have all these assets that are sending data.
well, it's more than just you want to collect data, right?
Right.
You want to know
That's exactly
You
correct.
want to know quality control, supply chain. You want to know what's happening in your full end-to-end world while it's happening, so that you can get alerts, so that you can understand what's happening. Not what happened yesterday and last week, although that's important too, but what's happening now, and perhaps how it compares to what happened yesterday or last week, so that when you have quality issues, you get ahead of them before they get to your customers and impact your reputation or, force you to take returns. Nobody wants to take anything back. And nobody wants to send anything back, right? Your customers want it to work the first time, you do too. And you do that by monitoring and understanding that world. That requires some technical infrastructure. And part of that is a database that can take streamed data coming from your IoT world, put it into a world that's easy to access and use, and makes real-time visualization easy, so that you can see nice graphs, pictures, understanding what's happening, and also automated alerts, so that I have a defect level that goes above, say, 2%, I know about it immediately. And perhaps take automatic action, maybe shut that machine down or alert the people on that line.
So it's definitely more than just the IoT. You mentioned supply chain. You end to end for me. I have multiple vendors. I have multiple relationships, not just the assets themselves where I can pull it off, but I have multiple stuff. Are you saying all of that together? You normalize that data too?
Absolutely, because you've got data coming. You've got data coming from your IoT devices, You got other data you probably need to mix with that as well.
Yeah.
Things coming from your partners, supply chain, depending on what you're doing, maybe climate data, other things about, what are happening in your world, so that you can make sure that in this manufacturing example, that things are happening and happening the way you want them to be, and that your products are being made at the right level of quality. Supplies are coming in, products are going out, and you can see all that happening. And when it's not going right, and look, people listening to this, you work in manufacturing, once in a while, it ain't all going right.
Yeah.
You know that before anyone else does. You can fix it before anyone finds out.
Tom,
That's how it should be.
Real quick.
Sure.
You're collecting all this data, you're getting it into a database here, but my business is different than, Susie's business over here, and then Carol's business and Tom's business, and every business is different. Are we talking about customizing each, or is there some standardization that can be applied with each organization?
I would say standardization on how they collect that data and how they process that data, but the event data is unique to each industry. But in reality, now those are getting standards like MQTT, JSON formats that then there's a lot of automation on being able to ingest that and make sense of that through automation. But they are different. Like we have ISVs that work upstream oil, independent software vendors that create vertical solutions on top of ours. And we have one that in the oil and gas will put the sensors out on all the drills and all the pipeline. So that's more of the upstream where they're actually processing that oil and getting that ready to be productized. That same company has a bunch of retail outlets, and we have a different ISV that will take the data from the refrigerators, the all the electrics inside of one of their retail stores, and pull that in. So two different use cases, but the same kind of client, but different end users as one example.
Darin, how long, let's just say this whole IoT journey has been around for a little while. You've got the SCADA systems. You've got systems that have been out there for years.
Oh yeah. The term SCADA was created in 1956.
Yeah.
So this is not new.
The only one that I've ever met that knew the date of SCADA.
There you go.
You'd be amazed at what comes out of his.
And for those of you who don't know the acronym, my mother-in-law says I know more useless stuff than anyone else she's ever met, except she doesn't say stuff.
1956.
So do his colleagues, that we say the same thing.
But of course, SCADA is systems control and data analytics.
Yeah.
And that for those not familiar with that, that's just the bits that manage the atoms. Those are the systems that are managing. In the early days, was mostly electrical and water systems.
Yep.
But now we see that across all sorts of industrial systems.
Yeah. PLCs, DCS.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, like in the electrical world, DERMS, right?
Yeah.
Distributed electrical resource management systems, and so
Yeah.
on. And this continues to evolve. So you say, somebody read a magazine and said I should collect data.
Oh yeah.
And they started collecting the data, and then they realized, okay, I've got all this data. Now what?
Yeah, I want the data that comes in over here, and I want to mix it with this data over there, and I want to, this is important stuff, but there has to be some sort of reasoning behind it. It's not just data for the sake of data.
So our customer journey is almost always coming from the other direction. It starts with a business need, and then it's how can I fix that business need using a data-driven approach. So in the industrial world, what are my business needs? If I want to be a little bit simplistic, it always boils down to make more money or spend less money. Usually this is, not always, but usually the stuff in IoT is about spend less money.
Pretty much, I want to be more efficient. I want to be able to make better decisions.
Or I want to grow my business.
And I want to, expand my business to,
So I think a good example of that, so one that's relevant here, and we see a lot now, is electric vehicle chargers. So Tom, you've got a good story about that.
I do. Yeah, we have a client here in Barcelona, Wallbox. They build EV chargers, and both commercial and residential. and they collect a lot of data. There's many, many sensors in those chargers, and since they're out in the field, they want to be able to collect that data, provide that data to their support team and organizations, so that when a customer does have an issue with that actual charger, they have instant visibility into all of the sensors for that machine, so they can help triage and resolve any issues that come in. And if they can shorten that life cycle of from problem manifestation through solution, that means on the commercial side they're making more money, but they also have a very satisfied customer on the residential side.
And this is about knowing in real time what's happening in those chargers and providing that data back to their customers, so that you know how long is it going to take for my vehicle to get charged.
Yeah. This is interesting because do you think the market, given down to the consumer level like me, and I might be an anomaly because I like looking at data. How many steps did I take? Why am I doing this? We have a competition and I'm always looking at data and I like it. But I'm sort of an anomaly relative to the masses. Do you think they really want to know all of this? Or do they just want, do they really?
If I'm charging my car, damn well want to know how long is it going to take for the charger to be full before I can drive it off.
Is there a queue at this commercial one, or can I get to that one, or where's the closest one? No queue, or one of the faster chargers.
Oh, no kidding, it's that level.
So not only like where can I get charged, but also, well, here's the closest charger, but there's a 10-minute wait.
Yeah.
Here's one that's a kilometer further away, but you can plug right in when you get there.
See, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And so do people want like the detailed data of how many watts per second are flowing into my car?
Right.
No, only nerds like you, Scott, care about that. Or me.
Check this out, man.
But where to get it charged and how fast? Absolutely. Or and we see this, across all sorts of industries, is people need this information to do the work better. And it's often cases of once they have it, they might not realize they needed it at the consumer level. Once they have it, they won't give it up. Right? I mean, a great example
is true.
Like think of like mapping applications on your phone. You probably live most of your life using paper maps.
Oh, what's the Thomas Guide?
Yeah, what's the last time you touched one?
Oh, I haven't. No.
It's been a while.
No, absolutely. I'm not. No, these fingers don't touch that.
Yeah, and the paper map doesn't tell you where the traffic is messed up, or alternate routes, or all that kind of stuff. So this is the world we're living in, that people expect data. They don't want it in the raw form. They want it in something that's relevant and meaningful to them.
Yeah.
And that actually is surprisingly difficult to do technically. That's good, because that gives our company something to do and something to help our customers and make real-time analytics not something just for nerds and labs, but something that is accessible for every company, anyone who cares about what's happening in real time, understanding events.
Say I'm Scott Manufacturing once again, I'm interested in getting the data. I contact you guys and say, hey, here's the deal. I want to be able to do this. I need to have meaning and relevance, and I need to be able to make decisions. Blah, blah.
Well, let's get down.
But then I got the historical data, and I know it's garbage. Scrub it. How do we get to the point where it works?
So partly we start by, if the historical data is garbage, ignore it. Let's move forward with the data that we have that's clean.
That's actually, Mack?
Yeah.
It's very common. Like when our clients first get started, they're often...
I don't like that historical data.
Yeah, they don't. Or they made a first pass at it. They realize it's dirty data that they've ingested. They go back upstream.
Exactly.
I have a fleet management company that puts a bunch of sensors on trucks. The data was worthless, so they worked with the firmware team and the software team to resolve that. Same thing, we have a coffee making company that sells smart coffee machines. So they know what you drank, when you drank it, but then a firmware update happens. Did it break? Did it work? But they're also getting bad data coming from the actual firmware and the software again. So it provided the visibility to be able to go clean that up and then make it usable going forward. So now marketing teams from firmware teams and software teams can now understand how people are engaging with their actual product in real time.
This is interesting because every time I've deployed systems, right, we always, and I mean always, had the conversation around historical data and where to start. How far do you go back? But it's your position. It's like, hey, that's historical data. We don't
Oh no, it's always useful, but the question is, what are you trying to do? So at Scott Manufacturing, let's not start this conversation with data. What do you need to do? Are you trying to reduce defects? Are you trying to prevent stockouts?
Yeah. Why do you need historical data then?
Yeah. And what is it? Yeah. For defect stuff, I don't care that much about the historical data. I care about the current data, what's happening now.
Yeah.
Although
I would argue the value of the data diminishes. The value of the data diminishes as it gets older in many of the IoT use cases, because what we talked about earlier is you want to know what's happening now. Where it becomes valuable is where you want to be able to compare to how it was yesterday, as you mentioned earlier, a week ago, a year ago. So those are the kind of trends that you want to start looking at from a trending standpoint. Yeah.
And then the other thing that comes up, so what are we doing? So one is we're often putting what's happening now in context.
Yeah.
Right? How is what's happening now compared to an hour ago, to yesterday?
Yeah.
To last time there was a thunderstorm.
Yeah, one plant to another.
Or how does plant 4 compare to plant 7?
Yeah.
And those are fairly critical. But the other thing is, as you said earlier, it's a tsunami. There's a lot of data. Our manufacturing customers are pulling in anywhere from 10 to 100 million events a day. Some have billions of events a day. So a lot of what we end up doing, a human can't look at a billion events and make any sense out of it. So a lot of what we're doing is doing fast aggregates and roll-ups. So I can pull this stuff together at a level a human can look at it, but still maintain that granular event. So when you're looking at, hey, something weird happened here, you still have the ability to dive down to that one piece of data that says what was that weird thing, and do that. And this is often critical. So it's a huge. Look, our technology didn't start in IoT. It started in the world of advertising, which is another place where you have a lot of things that have a lot of data, a lot of fast stuff. But our fastest growing area today is IoT and working in the industrial world, because that's where people are having these needs.
Tom, I know we have a hard break. It's right around the corner. So we got to wrap it up.
Thanks for the time.
No. Tom, how do they get a hold of you?
Tom.mack@imply.io.
Do you have LinkedIn?
Yep.
Are you active on it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Darin, how do they get a hold of you?
Same way. Go to imply.io. Lots of good stuff. Download some books, some white papers, look at some examples, let us come talk to you, or go grab me on LinkedIn.
There you go. All right, listeners, we're going to have all the contact information for Darin and Tom out on Industrial Talk. Just go out there. You need to reach out to these two gents. It makes sense. It's all about data. Data. I don't know. Make a note of that.
Data and industry.
Data and industry. All right. Once again, we're broadcasting from IoT Solutions World Congress. Barcelona, Spain is the location. It is a collection of problem solvers. You need to put this on your calendar for next year. It is a must. And Barcelona is not a bad town. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
And that is a wrap. Tom and Darin delivering the goods. It's about data. Yeah, all roads are leading to get the data, be able to analyze the data, make sure the data is properly scrubbed and looking shiny and spiffy, and then makes those decisions accordingly. That's what it's all about. Tom and Darin. Imply is the company. IMPLY. All right, we're building a platform. Building a platform that is dedicated to heroes like you. You have a podcast? Put it out on Industrial Talk. We want everybody to hear it. You have technology? Do it. Put it out on Industrial Talk. We want people to know about it. It's easy. Go out to Industrial Talk and, you just reach out to me. I'm there. Easy peasy. All right. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Tom and Darin. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation coming from IoT Solutions World Congress show, so stay tuned.